Welcome to the Nailsin Ratings, and I'll be talking about The Flash and the episode All Dolled Up. Yeah, that's because there was a villain in the story called Ragdoll. I thought Ragdoll in the comics, wasn't that a female character? Maybe not. I don't really know. But man, this was one of the creepiest looking villains they've had, and they got to bring him back. In fact, I think Ragdoll probably should have been the ongoing villain for this season instead of Cicada. But then I guess they'd have to come up with some reason as to why he can knock out other people's powers and whatnot. So this was a good episode. It flowed very well. It continues their little plots going on, and they got to all of them, and they had their little comedic moments. They had their touching moments. Everything is just fine, except I don't think Flash is doing well. But what are you going to do? It is the 5th season, so, you know, it's going to happen. But this was just a really good episode. Now, not spectacular, like the last season they had and I keep calling it the best, but I can't remember the title. But it was the time bomb one, you know, where, you know, the Flash and everything was slowed down because he was going so fast and trying to figure out what to do about this bomb that it's already started to explode and he can't stop it and all that. Whereas this one, they're getting good at the relationships and showing them as credible and fleshed out characters as far as Barry's marriage to Iris and her concerns continuing about their daughter, Nora, who does not like Iris because of what she becomes in the future. And she's holding it against her even though she hasn't become that woman yet. And realistically, by what Nora has done by coming back, that entire timeline is now completely different. Or maybe by her coming back, she's created it. That's the weird things about the paradoxes of time travel. She foolishly went back because well, not foolishly, you can understand her desire to meet and be with her father, who she never got to know. But in doing so, she may have set up the timeline and the conditions that leads to the story of where she doesn't have her father in the future. And obviously, whatever that event was, led to Iris being the way she is in the future and being protective of her daughter. But Nora is really bubbly and goofy and still rather childlike, and there's all these, you know, stupid sayings that teenagers indulge in from the future, sway and all that. It gets really annoying, but it's within the context of her character, it all fits. So it's also somewhat credible and believable that she doesn't quite get that she's being unfair to Iris, and I'm assuming doesn't really know the reasons why Iris did what she did, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with Barry's disappearance and probable demise, and she's trying to protect Iris. And it could just be as simple as that. She went through the loss of Barry and she's done with superheroes. She doesn't want her daughter to end up like that too, and it's simple as that. And why can't Iris figure that out? Well, she's all hurt and mad, and she's still kind of a kid, and maybe not entirely as bright as Iris and Barry. But, you know, what are you going to do? Meanwhile, the trials and tribulations of the other characters continue. They're still looking for Caitlin's father, and they pretty much found him. It looks like the next episode they'll deal with that. Meanwhile, poor Cisco Vibe still has his powers, but if he uses them, he's liable to have a seizure of some sort. He's damaged from what Cicada did to him, and now it appears use of his powers will make the dark matter within him slowly kill him. And of course, something's going to come along where he's going to have to use the powers, I'm sure. But you know, so it all handles it out quite well. The only weak part, or not weak part really, is just that, boy, I kept thinking there would be some fight between Elongated Man and the Ragdoll, and there was, but it was off camera. So, but they seem very likely because this Ragdoll guy, he's become the dark matter incident from the last season has turned him into this creature, and he basically looks like a ragdoll, and he can flatten himself, he can crush his bones and then still move, and he's really weird character. He's like out of a horror movie. It's like one of those things where you what was it? I guess like Ring and stuff like that, where these twisted creatures coming at you, and that's the vibe the guy gave. And boy, it really worked. He was really a totally creepy and scary villain, and more so than any of the others they had that were supposed to be ominous and threatening and whatnot. But this guy, and it was all very brief, and I'm not entirely certain what he was after. He apparently had a bad relationship with his mother, and he was lashing out for what happened to him, but they need to revisit this guy because just the atmospherics alone really sells it, and I hope they develop it further. But Elongated Man gets him, and I'm sure they locked him up in their little jail at Star Labs. So upward and onward for the Flash. It never quite lets me down. There's been weak episodes and things I thought they could have done better. But as I've said many times before, it remains the best of the CW shows. And the other ones, well, I quit all those. So, did they get better? I don't know. I doubt it. So, I mean, I'll check in on them when the Crisis crossover that's coming. And we'll see where that goes. Some cool things. They're showing little imageries of Superman and Lois and stuff like that. And then, of course, the original Flash from the 1990s and all that looks cool. So we'll see how that turns out. But this episode, yeah, 5 out of 5 stars just for giving me some fun and some entertainment. Like I said, it's not in the stellar levels that the Time Bomb episode did, but still, that's a hard one to get to. But a good show all around, and probably the best of this season so far. So there you go, The Flash, all dolled up. 5 out of 5 stars. And so, oh yeah, before I go, so I did a video on the DC Universe show, Titans. And I said, okay, I'll sign up, check this out. I've been hearing that it's not as bad as you thought. And there was a lot there, a lot of potential there, stuff to enjoy. But of course, a lot of flaws. And all that was well and good. And then the DC Universe official Twitter account decided to tweet out a little message to Donald Trump. And just the sheer idiocy of doing something like that when you just launched your streaming service. And the market for these streaming services is brutal. I mean, the chances of this really being successful are not good. And at best, you can hope there's enough of a little niche market for you out there of DC fans to keep that stuff afloat. But boy, I mean, the shows are not cheap, even when you try to make them cheap. And I don't know. And then you pull a stunt like this where you fail to maximize your potential customer base, and it's just very foolish. And then worse than all of that, you lie about it. You say, well, it was hacked. It's not a hack. You know, where's all the dick pics? You know, I mean, the usual crap that happens when a account is hacked. They don't just come in with one message and then leave. Yeah, that's just bad. You know, the little snot who pulled that possibly could have been an accident that they didn't log out and were in the wrong, whatever. But I'm not really buying that one either. You want to go on Twitter and crap on Trump on your own account, you know, more power to you. But you don't use the brand name of your employer like that, especially when you're trying to build a streaming service that's brand new in this brutal market of streaming services that are popping up all over the place. Everybody's going to have one, and not all of them are going to survive. That's just the way it is. Not everybody, I'm not going to subscribe to every last one of them. So, very, very foolish and very stupid and enraging to the point that might have to dip out. So, but again, worse than just the event itself, lying about it. Not good. Very poor performance on the part of DC Universe as far as their public relations go, and very foolish when you desperately need to maximize your market as best as you possibly can. You don't chop off half the country. Very foolish. All right, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll do it again soon. So like and subscribe, and check out the link description below for the mini stores that has plenty of goodies for you. Bye-bye.